Welcome to episode 79 of Think Big with Michael Zellner. All positive, no politics. My guest today is TJ Cates. TJ is an author, actor, writer, director, and an executive producer. He is CEO, host, and executive producer of Nashville Entertainment Weekly and also executive producer of Nashville Real Estate TV. TJ is the city development director for the city of Horn Lake, Mississippi. He is also the owner of TJ Cates Productions, which just recently released the full length film, The Haunted Farmhouse. He is also a field reporter for TMZ. There are so many other things that I can name that this man does that I've never seen someone with a bigger resume than this guy. TJ,
Really.
thanks for joining me today.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm so glad you set this up. I greatly appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you too. Thank you. Tell us something interesting about yourself that most people don't know.
I have more hair products, more skin products, and more shoes than my wife. That comes up a lot. Our
Hello.
closet, we just moved to a new house. Our closet is 10 feet by 18 feet, and half of it is mine. And there's an island in the middle with shoes. And she's like, seriously, just get rid of them. But I like to dress appropriately. I miss the days when men would dress in suits and ties and go out into the world. So I really, that's a big part of it. But I'm shorts and flip flops and on the weekends if I can be. But you never know. You never know who you're going to come in front of, so you want to be dressed and be respectful. I had a meeting with the mayor at City Hall this morning, and he commented on my dress. It's like it's out of respect.
That's
That's
great.
something nobody knows about me. More shoes, more hair product, more skin products.
So, you went to elementary school at Hope Sullivan Elementary, and then you
Yeah.
went to South Haven Junior Senior High School.
Yep.
What are some of the best memories of your childhood?
My family started a business and I always worked ever since I was, 10 or 11 years old. I was what they call a bottle boy back in the day when people bring in their glass bottles. And my dad had me in the cage in the back of the IGA and bottle boy. And I would come back there and I would sort out the Coke bottles. And then he started a grocery store up in Memphis and we had that for 31 years. And I worked there I would always detail cars on Friday afternoon, all the owners of the small businesses. And I don't know, man, it just always was working. So I remember doing that a lot. I played a little bit of ball, but my heart was really in working and walking around with money in your pocket. They call it, my grandpa called it walking around money. So I always had walking around money when most kids were borrowing money from their parents. I always had a little money in my pocket from working.
And you were just talk about the family business. I understand that your family, it was Kate's Meat Market. It was on
Mhm.
Brooks Road, and you worked there for a while when you were younger. How did your family get into that business?
My dad was always in that business since the 50s after the Army. And it was a really good grocer. He took the business and it was losing money, but he worked there back in the 50s and 60s. He bought it in the 70s, right around the corner from Graceland. And he just grew it. He's just really good with people. He's very smart. My mom came in there and worked with him. She's got business smarts. So it was just a really fun business. We still go out. I took him to lunch today, like an hour and 10 minutes ago. I said, I got to go. I got this guy at 2 o'clock. I don't want to miss him. And yeah, so they still have people come to the table and recognize them because it was just, a landmark in the city. So they really taught me how to work because it ain't easy working in the grocery business. And, it's 6 or 7 days a week, holidays. And, but they really taught me how to treat people that are your customers and keep them your customers. And I've even taken that into what I do with my film production. I have the same actors in my movies. I have the same, friends since the fifth grade. So it's just hanging on to everything you're getting. Don't forget like it's going to be there around the corner.
First off, I want to talk about these amazing mouth-watering dishes that you post on your Facebook page. Oh my gosh. You said, quote, I'm working from home today, and that means I get to cook shrimp, steamed chicken, turkey sausages, sweet onions, rice, and blended cheeses, a little Cajun sprinkle, and let's grab a plate, unquote. You're
Did I say
killing me.
that's a good post?
You're killing me over here with all that food. I know that, you talk about your dad is a retired Army cook. Is
Uh-huh.
that where you learned to cook so well, or did you teach yourself?
It's kind of self-taught. Some people can play the piano, some play the guitar, and know how to cook. I can go to a restaurant and eat pretty much any dish, and if I want it 2 days later, I pretty much know the contents as I eat it. I can tell what's going in there. I'm really about plating food, even at home. Whenever you put food on a plate, even if it's a sandwich, I cut the corners, put it up at the top, put my olives here, my pickles here. I mean, it's all about plating. And we always gave cooking advice because it helped us sell at our store. We would always give cooking advice as a kid. I did go to like a couple culinary nights to go see what they did. But yeah, I like to cook. And I ate really super healthy. And when I went home, I could do sausage, but it's turkey sausage. I can do chicken, but it's good quality chicken. I can take my time with it. We don't really fry anything. We don't do anything crazy. So I like to cook. Anytime you're in town, man, come on over. I'll cook for you. I love to cook for people.
Yeah, I noticed that it is healthy stuff, and that it just hit me when you said no, nothing fried. I don't think I've seen anything fried that you put out on the
We
plates.
don't fry. I don't cook pork. I don't eat pork. I'm a championship barbecue cook. I'm trophies that can fill up a room, but I don't eat pork. It doesn't agree with me, so I don't really eat it. We don't do any fried food. It's really tough being in the South, depending where you are, to find. So the last couple of days, I've gone and had healthy food around the southern town that I live in right now. And just to let my guys I went to school with that are having health issues know that it's okay to get chicken, it's okay to get a big salad, it's okay to get avocados. There's so many things that you can eat, tomatoes. There's so many things that you can add to your diet that are really healthy for you and they help your body work better. So
I mentioned that you're an author. Quote, Como, Mississippi will never be the same, unquote, is a reference in your book, Como Hunt Club, which was published in 2010. How did you come up with the idea for your book, and what made you decide to write one?
didn't get to complete this book. It's a funny story about it. I submitted it to a publisher and it was a self-published. And then they said, we really like your story. We'd like to publish it. And I submitted something and they put the product that wasn't completely complete because I didn't know that much about books. I kept asking, how many pages do I need to write? Because when you write, if you've ever done it, it flows. You can knock out 10, 20, 30 pages in just a day or two. It just flows out. And but I would like to complete it. It's funny because the I went and shot a feature film with my limited editing skills 10 or 12 years ago, and I had some really good locations. We shot a film, and my idea was to go pitch it someday. This is before streaming. So just in the past 30 days, I've had a lot of publishers, and I've even had some networks that are looking at the story as a series. So that's something that I may get to work on next year. So I'm condensing the hour and 22-minute film. I believe that's about the length of it. And I'm condensing it to 22 minutes. And then we're going to have a trailer, we're going to have a sizzle reel, and then we're going to have one episode because everything's episodic that's selling right now. It's a great story, man.
You said, quote, ABC's Nashville was an exciting educational time for me. I made so many friends working on that TV show, playing an entertainment reporter that seems like a good fit for me, unquote. How did you get that role, and what did you learn most about it about yourself?
My agent, Misty Pyron, that's been my agent for like 14 years and got me so many SAG credits when I lived in Memphis. I would she just submitted me for some roles and got in there and I was thinking, well, after our family business closed after 35 years, and then I sold my house, my cars and everything. It's like, I keep going the 200 miles to Nashville all the time. I think I'll go try out Nashville because maybe if I'm booking this much far away, I could book some when I get in there. And I never got a line. I've auditioned a million times for NBC. I'm auditioning now for Young Rock in Memphis. And I've driven to Tyler Perry's studio. I've been able to, some things I get, some things I don't, but you got to realize don't get your feelings hurt. You may audition 50 times for one speaking role, but my look is very distinct. They call me ethnically ambiguous, is what they call me, because they can't tell if I'm French, Italian, Native American, a white guy. They really can't figure out. So I get cast in a lot of roles that I wouldn't really see. So I just sent in and submitted, and then they grab me, and you get there, and then they say what they want to use you for, and it really opened a lot of doors. But the thing I do, like with that in HBO and big productions, is everybody goes back there and they hang out and they visit. Well, I'm not there to visit. I'm there to learn. That's my film school. I would always go grab a corner because I'm a grown dude. I look like I belong no matter where I go because I dress well and I carry myself like I belong. I'll just go sit there and watch breaking down the lights. What are they doing lighting? What are they doing sound? I mean, to me, to go into a multi-million-dollar film production, what an advantage that puts me over independent filmmakers where I can see exactly how they're lining up their cameras, how they're crossing it. They've got the whole thing figured out. So I kind of use them as much as they use me, if that makes any sense at
It
all.
does make a lot of sense. And yeah,
You're not going to learn anything in the holding. Yeah.
right. And you were talking about, I mean, so many people are going back there and they're socializing, they're thinking, oh, I want to talk to this person. I want to talk to this person. You're like, no, I'm here to learn. I'm going to get something from this.
And I was also shooting independent films myself with no budgets, like zero budget. I had my own camera, my own, editing. So I was actually casting people that they had casted and I would cast them as long as they're outside, they could be in my product. So it was a really good time, and I like to meet people. I love to meet people. So it was a lot of fun.
On your Facebook page in the About TJ section, you wrote, quote, living today like you will die tomorrow, unquote. What does that mean to you?
We never know how many days God has planned for us. We don't know. We think that we're all going to live till 70, 80, 90 years old. But, I've lost so many friends over the years that just aren't there anymore. So I believe in 86,400 seconds in every day. And everybody that wakes up has the same amount of seconds. Some people are going to lay around and watch TV. Some people are going to go to a job that they really dislike. But you go to work, what, 8 hours a day? Traditionally, if somebody has a 9 to 5, then what are they doing? They can sleep 8 hours. It leaves you 8 hours a day, man. And you work Monday through Friday, you're off 2 whole days. Think of how much you can get done. And somebody that feels like they're stuck in a situation, they're stuck in a situation now because you got to utilize your paycheck to keep your bills paid. But go finish your college degree, go take continuing education, go out there like I started an acting class with Red West, Elvis's buddy. I started that in the early 90s. You never know where you're going to go if you're not. Alex Coker, a good friend of mine that jumps out of airplanes every day and he's an actor. He said that I told him something. It's like, sorry, do something every day to progress and push you forward and closer to the dreams that are in your heart. If you don't do something, if it's going and studying YouTube and studying the YouTube video, go and study the people that are in your field that are more successful than you. YouTube is amazing. So I just think you need to do something every single day. Don't waste your time. Don't sit and go. Don't go to a movie. Be in a movie unless you're going to study the movie. Don't go to a ball game. People invite me to ball games all the time, and they can't. It's like, dude, the ball game's 4 hours, 1 hour to get there, come back. We're talking about parking. We're talking about dropping $100. I can't give you 7 hours of my day to go watch somebody play ball on the field. Let's can't. I'll work.
Quote, a very fast 10 years since working on this film, the identical watching Ray Liotta and Ashley Judd do their magic. A very
That was
favorite
awesome.
project. I played a no-line sheriff during the Great Depression era. It tells a story of if the twin brother of Elvis Presley lives and grew up separately with a hunger for rock and roll music too, unquote. That must have been pretty awesome to be around those two big stars and being involved with that project. And, share, if you would, with the audience, the amazing idea for that movie and how it got started.
It's pretty awesome. Um, Again, my agent Misty said TJ would need you to be a cop because I always get cast. No matter what I try to be the fun uncle, I try to be whatever. I'm always a cop or the killer. I'm never anywhere in between. I always think I can be a fun guy because my personality is that. But they see a darkness in there, and they see on camera and on screen. So she said we're going to be a cop in the 1930 area on a soup kitchen. I said, okay, great. So I drive up there. It's a couple hundred miles. It's in Watertown, Mississippi. Beautiful. I've come back and shot some independent films there. But we get there and they put on this uniform, and the trailers from Miami, the wardrobe was through the roof. It was beautiful. And the lady told me, she said, you realize you're wearing Tom Hanks's uniform. I'm like, what are you talking about? She said, this is the exact uniform that he wore in the Green Mile. I said, funny, because 6 months ago, I was at Tennessee State Prison filming a film where I played a French leader, and we filmed it at the Tennessee State Prison where they filmed the Green Mile. So it's really how things come together. But I did that, and then they gave me a club. We did like props. They gave me a little club, and everybody else was extras were in period film, and the director and the producer made I made really good friends with them, and they were so good to me. And they said, "Stand right here." I said, "What do you want me to do?" They said, "Just be you." And I did a lot with it. You make a little bit of the screen, and I was okay with that. But it was really, again, I'm sitting there and I've shared some pictures of it. You're not supposed to take pictures on set. You better check and make sure my camera's not in my pocket because TJ's going to take a picture. I'm not going to share anything. I shouldn't. But to me, when I take a picture, I'm looking where their rails, where their dolly carts are, where their lineup is, where they're sitting, what they're looking at. It's a learning experience. But I did. And then I was going to leave, and we didn't have any scenes with either one of them. And then they said the director wants you to stay, and I'm like, I was in the old mentality just a little bit. I'm like, I'm supposed to go to a party Saturday night, and they said, well, he really would like you to be there, be on the front row for the church scene. I'm like, what's the church scene? They said, well, this is whenever Ray Liotta is a pastor and his wife is Ashley Judd. They're given a set of twins because the people that had twins cannot afford them. And his line in there was, to give unto others. So anyway, That's what happened. He got up there and gave his remarks, and it was just amazing. Ray Liotta to me, I was on the front row, like probably 6 feet away, just me and him. We kept looking at each other, but I didn't say anything because I'm professional enough to leave him alone. And Ashley was a couple over. She did amazing. She cried 10 times that night. Ray went into it, and so it was amazing. And then you fast forward when I started my company, and I got to only because I interviewed. I wanted to interview Ray Liotta, which he didn't do interviews, but I went through the red carpet at the film festival, and I got to go behind the ropes because I did meet the director. We hung out, drank beer, and ate pizza. We ended up becoming buddies and went to Midtown. And I met Ray, and I said, "Dude, I was in your movie," but I said, I obviously you don't remember me. So he looked at me and he said, "You got a look," and I said, "Yeah." I said, "My look gets me. I always get cast as a villain or a mean one." And Ray said, play the dark characters. That's the ones that people remember. And I said, whites and blacks, Jews and Gentiles, all the same in the eyes of the Lord. All the same in the eyes of the Lord. He said, that's my lines. I said, of course it was. I studied you the whole time you were there. Everybody else is getting, IHOP catering back in the craft services. I didn't. I studied his. That's why even while he was rehearsing, I went and sat quietly and I studied him. Anyway, that's what I do, man. I know it's nerdy. I know it's boring, but I would rather study my craft than I would go goof off and make writings.
It's funny that you say that. I have one of my really good lifelong friends that's from Memphis, that's an actor. And he
Who's that?
said the exact same thing. He says when he's around all these big stars, because he's been around a lot of them, like you, he says, I don't go up to him and say, ask him all these crazy questions. He goes, that's not going to get anywhere with them. I
Mm-mm.
respect them. I know that, that's not what I'm supposed to do. I'm going to watch them. I'm going to learn from them. And that's how to
Smart.
do it.
Yeah, Ray was back there behind the velvet ropes, and he's like, you want a glass of wine? I'm like, did Ray drink wine? I said, yeah, man, I'll take a glass, even if I didn't want it. If it
Sure.
was if it was anything nasty, I would say, yeah, man, I'll take some of that. We're sitting there drinking wine with Ray Liotta. What a cool moment! And he passed a couple years
Right.
ago. Passed this past year. And it's like I was so grateful that I got to not only meet him, got some advice from him, and I got to see him work close up.
Speaking of Elvis, your newest project is the Elvis and Priscilla honeymoon cottage in Horn Lake. You said, quote, this home is important, and I know you have to start somewhere small to do something big. It seems like a logical start being only 20 minutes south of Graceland itself. This is why Elvis bought it, unquote. Tell us a little bit more about this and what are some of your plans for it?
Actually, where I'm sitting right now, going on right this minute is Jerry Lewis's funeral. Hernando, like maybe a half a mile down from my house right now. So, the impact of those people that grew up in this area, like Elvis would send over for steaks at my parents' store. And we would ride home and we would be with my grandmother riding in the back seat, and there's a big blue lights and the nativity and everything that Elvis did. And you could see him when I was really young, they would be riding their golf carts and go karts around the circle, just goofing off, just being young guys, just we got all this money and we have all this much fun stuff. And there's a guy that owned a Dodge dealership, a Chrysler Dodge across my dad's buddy. And he said, well, Elvis came in, did it again, and there's these young families talking about their monthly note on their cars. Just send me the bill, send me the bill. He'd pay it. If people walk out the door with a clear title to their car. So he had such a giving spirit. And I ran into the opportunity working through Horn Lake. And they gave me 3 projects. One's a 416-acre undeveloped land in the wetlands, and they want to know what to do with it. I found out that the Chickasaw Nation used to live there, so we're meeting with them, zooming with them. We're going to be making that a Native American park. We're giving the land back to them. They're doing an archaeological survey on it right now. Every Chickasaw family got 1 acre of land, and they could live, they could farm, and they buried their family right there. So we got to know before we put trails in to know what's under there because they might never get to come back into it again. Totally undisturbed, full of nature. We're not getting free falls, let it sit there. So it's gonna be really good. But right down the street is Elvis's honeymoon cottage. And it just so happens one of the partners of Graceland is a friend of mine, a big attorney here in the county, and he and I go to lunch all the time. And he's like, well, I own that bank at the honeymoon cottage, TJ. I'm like, hold on a minute, what? And he's like, I do. And I said, well, the honeymoon cottage is falling apart. And you can look at the old pictures, how beautiful it is. And he's like, man, he said, I watched you do a presentation at the city. And he said, you had video and you're talking to these people and you're turning around talking to the crowd. He said, it was really funny for a city presentation. He said, everybody was in a conversation basically. And he said, I really want you to be part of Circle G. I'm like, are you kidding me? Because that's awesome. So what we're doing now is he owns the bank on the corner. We're gonna clear that out. We're gonna do like Tupelo did with the Shotgun House and Tupelo. It already has a historic marker, and we're gonna let people park there. They're gonna be able to go get their picture photo op on the weekends. I want to get Elvis impersonator Sunday afternoons with Elvis, and Elvis impersonators go crazy about that. I would like to build Priscilla Priscilla Presley museum. As far as I know, I don't believe she has one. When we move to Honeymoon Cottage, I would like to do that for her and build a museum for Priscilla and her style and Lisa Marie and elaborate on what they've done for the past 30, 40 years because there's some high points in there. And of course, we can't use it because of Elvis Presley Enterprises. We can't use the Elvis name, but Elvis did own the land. And there's cool pictures of him riding a horse. There's cool pictures of him driving an old International Harvester truck around with Circle G on it. And it's 375 acres. There's a big lake called Snake Lake. And I have three developers right now that want to go in. We're talking about putting in museums, we're talking about amphitheaters, upscale RV parks, living, vacation homes, everything like that. To be in charge of that or even be a part of it, dude, that's huge from a boy from Memphis.
It is. I have a funny Elvis story. He actually, my grandfather and my great uncle used to own a place called Buzz Off Dinettes. It was
I know
first on.
exactly where that was.
It
So
was
out
not.
up North Memphis, right?
Yeah, it was in on a Third Street on East Bodley off Third, and then it ended up being in Olive Branch years later. But back in the early '50s, before Elvis became famous,
That's
when he
awesome
was in
that
high
they had
school,
that. I've
he
been in
he
there.
yeah, he worked for them. Yeah, for just a short period of time. Yeah, he worked for
That's
them.
neat.
So before he got famous, but it was pretty cool. Good story.
Yeah.
I understand that Rick Springfield was one of your idols, and you had the opportunity to interview and interact with him. What was that like?
It was pretty freaking cool. Dr. Noah Drake, big
Yeah, General
he
Hospital.
yeah, he rode with me on my proms, and he rode. He's such a cool guy. And I just had the chance. He was playing at the Wild Horse Saloon downtown, and I had a girl that was being my producer, and she reached out to him and said, TJ would like he's got an Nashville to play. He'll bring his camera and everything. Can we get an interview? And they're like, yeah, that's fine. Come on, and we did. And he'd already done a couple interviews, and it was his warm up and everything. And interviews usually you're really good at it, but some
Thank you.
people, some people hammer out. They want to get the secret and everything. And I'm like, dude. And so we set up a couple bar stools, and then we had the backdrop. I don't know if you saw it or not. And we just sat there and we just shot the crap, man. Just a couple guys, and I didn't do like, oh my god, your music was so cool. It was just like, and somebody brought him some green tea. I said, what do you drink? Green tea now? And then he's like, well, and Lou um, Gila. And then I said, what do you listen to like on Spotify, Pandora, things like that? Because you're a really good singer. And he said, no, I'm a good songwriter. I just happen to be able to sing and I looked okay on camera. He told me that off camera, but he said, he said, I used to download free music like everybody. I thought this was cool until I realized I was hurting my own industry. So he said, then he said, F him. I had to cut that out. He said the actual word. He said, they don't pay their songwriters. And they're like, they don't pay their songwriters, but now they do. And then, they just passed a law. John Rich, Nashville's doing amazing things. And he and Kid Rock had gone to Washington a couple of years ago. And I shared that video on my Nashville Entertainment Weekly page. They got it where they go down to the drummer, to the keyboard, to the composer. Everybody gets paid now. When you spin a song, they play it in a restaurant, they play on anything. You know that. You've got to buy an insurance policy code. So he really had that idea in his head. What was that, 5, 6 years ago? That everybody deserves to get paid, not just the lead singer. Kid Rock even said that. He said, I'm the one that makes the most money, but everybody deserves to get paid.
My
So,
sister and brother-in-law just went to see him. I think he just played at Graceland recently.
mhm.
Yeah, so they
I
went to
got
see him.
his I got his number, man. I got his cell number, and last time they're in Tunica, I texted him, and his manager's name is Matty Spivey, and he liked my boots because they were cross. And I said, "Oh, I'll get you some boots," but I was going to meet up with them, go down to the Hollywood Cafe, but they just didn't have time. But I almost reached out to them. Plus, they had a General Hospital reunion, which would have been cool. But
I heard a funny story about you and some of your friends. After graduating from South Haven, you and three of your buddies went to Panama City.
we did
Uh,
go to Memphis.
you each had a
144 a week was.
Yeah, he said that y'all barely had any money. Your family gave you lunch meats provided. The hotel was like 19.99 a night,
It was
and
so
you guys
cheap.
stayed there for a week. And y'all had like maybe 10 to 12 people that were in the hotel room because several other your girls and friends joined you guys. What do you
Well,
remember
we
about that trip?
we joined them. Our first night was free. It was all our buddies from school, and then the manager came up, and I think either their dad or somebody got wind. We're all just buddies. We grew up in a really cool time. Nobody was trying to date anybody, and it was kind of like Daisy and Feud. Everybody was just a group. But yeah, I do remember that. We had Spinnaker too, and I slept on the hood of my buddy's car for a while, and we all just had a really good, fun time in Panama City. And yeah, we split. I think it was a 3 or 4 piece Kentucky Fried Chicken that we got in Biloxi or Jackson, and ate that all the way back because we'd spent every dime. I'm surprised we had gas money to get on. And we rode back on a donut from Hattiesburg in a Monte Carlo. But that's your senior trip. You're supposed to
Sure.
do that. That's what we're kids. That's what you're supposed to do. You can't do that when you're grown up. You can if you have to, but
Right.
yeah, it was
I,
good.
I have good memories of Spinnaker and Club La Vila. Those are some fun places.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Those are
Yeah.
some fun places. Yeah. I
Good
don't remember
times.
too much, but I remember just enough.
Yeah. I remember we were buying they sold draft beer for $1 in a milk carton, a gallon milk carton. And it's just nasty because it's not
Right.
nothing was clean about it. We were just walking around because I graduated early. I was 17. So I didn't belong down there anyway, but my dad didn't care. We came back the day after we got back, me and the fire chief's son, and my dad woke me up and said, "Do you have a job yet?" I'm like, "Dude, I just graduated. I'll go back to the store." And he said, "Be at the barn," which my uncle, he was a county supervisor. So I was a garbage man. The day after, the Monday following my week after graduation, I was a garbage man for like 2 weeks until I could find a real job. The difference, you couldn't do that to kids now. They
Oh,
couldn't
no,
handle the pressure.
no, not at all. What's the biggest obstacle you've overcome in your life?
Going against big production companies because my dreams are so big and I go for them. But sometimes you get beat out by somebody with a lot more money, and I get it, or somebody with better connections. I get it. It just happens.
Cindy Scholl Johnson said of you,
She's
quote,
awesome.
"You are the real deal. I was on my way to an appointment and saw you out mowing your folks' house in the heat of the day. If I wasn't on my way to something, I would have gone and picked up a milkshake or Gatorade for you," unquote. I've seen you do a fair share of charity work. Everything that I've read about you and heard about you is that you're always lending a hand and you're very giving. That's really important to you, isn't it?
It's extremely important. This is God's earth. It's not our earth. I sound super Christian. I'm just a person of the earth, man. And we're given a certain amount of time here, and the impact that we make in that time, that's what matters. If whether we make it in the history books or not, it doesn't matter. It depends on what you're doing here on earth. We all make mistakes. I made 1.5 million. If you made 1 million, I made 1.5 million. But that doesn't mean that you've got to go find an excuse to cry, well, my life's over. It's just not over. If you're breathing, man, you put your feet hit the floor. That's it. But yeah, Cindy's really good. And my parents are 80 and 83 now. And I don't care. I've been mowing that same grass, dude, since 1983, since they moved in that big house. So it's fine. I can go mow the yard. I can take off my suit, go throw some, I keep clothes at their house. I'll jump in the shower, throw my suit back on, and get it mowed. Yeah. Plus the yard and detailing cars, that's just something I really do enjoy. But it was kind of hot that day. I remember that day.
I mentioned Rick Springfield, but you and your company, Nashville Entertainment Weekly, interviewed Kathy Lee Gifford, Cheap Trick,
Yeah.
late Mac Davis, Trace Adkins, Loverboy, and I'm sure there's more I didn't mention. What's that been like for you interviewing all those famous people?
It's fun, man. Every once in a while you get a hard interview. You know how that works. I hope I'm not a hard interview. I'll try not to
No,
talk so much. But
that's what I want you to do. I like the
uh,
talking.
I've got a different way of doing it. Like Jill, she'll do an interview with me, and she's textbook, and she'll spend the first couple of minutes telling them things about themselves. And I said, "Why do you do that?" She said, "Well, I'm telling people that are watching about this person that they'll know." I said, "Okay, that makes sense." But I just have fun with it. Like Cheap Trick, I was at the night that Ray Liotta was on the red carpet. I called the Nashville Film Festival, and I said, "I want to get credentials." And they said, "Well, what's the name of your company?" I said, "Nashville Entertainment Weekly." I just left TMZ. I turned down a 2 or 3 year contract, but I didn't want to do it. I don't want to be behind the camera anymore. And it's like they said, "Yeah, I heard of that. We'll get your lanyards, we'll get the whole thing." And I'm on the red carpet, man, with my own camera and a microphone that didn't actually work with. Use the mic on the camera, but I had to use this one and pretend. And Scott Worchett of a big machine. He was so nice to me that night. He had so much fun with me. And Glenn Campbell was having his premiere there. Um, I'll Be Me, and interviewed his daughter Debbie, and Cheap Trick's coming down there. Dude, it's like the Loverboy, Cheap Trick, 38, all these guys, man. And I saw them and the dude with the hair and everything, and I'm like, and they walked over to get their attention. I said, I want you to want me, just loud. And everybody turns around and he's like laughing his ass off. So he came over, I was having fun. So just have fun. They want to have fun. And, you're just going to talk to them. And some of them are so guarded. Like Seth Green, he was there that night and he didn't want to do an interview. And then Joey, that played Ralphie on Sopranos, I can't pronounce his last name, very Italian. He did an interview. We had a great talk. It's like, dude, you're really good in the movie. He said, really? I hadn't seen it. I'm like, seriously? How have you not seen it? So it's fun to meet people. Terry Clark, I was given a good time with her. Everybody's the same, man. 200 years, nobody's going to matter who was worth $1 billion and who was worth, $8, working at a plus tips or something. It doesn't matter. People put so much time and effort into what their worth is, and it doesn't matter. It's like, what are you going to accomplish? We just raised from our fire department. I've been involved in fire department, um, volunteer fire for 2004, and I first got to drive the fire truck, which I was excited about. They said you're actually really calm in a really bad situation. I'm like, well, okay. But now I'm working for a fundraiser. We just raised $3,000 this month. We're doing our volunteer firefighters are young guys that don't have the grades that I relate to. I didn't have good grades at all. They they want to be a firefighter, which can land you in 40 something thousand dollars a year. So what we're doing in North Mississippi is the people that live around there, we're getting their certification without taking off their job to go to Jackson for another, 2 or 3 weeks or whatever it takes to get your certification. So we get them if you volunteer with us, and then we're going to have our training facility get your certification. They're walking right into jobs like 45,000, 46,000 with fire departments in Shelby County, Memphis, anywhere they want to go. It didn't even have to be by us. So I'm grateful that I've been able to raise thousands upon thousands of dollars. Just I'm running now with a bunch of millionaires, and millionaires like tax write-offs. I call them like, man, I need a couple $1,000. We're running short. Yes, and I'll call the next guy. I need a couple $1,000. It's the same 2,000, but I'll get it a couple times. It's like, can you help us out? It's tax deductible. I'll get you a picture with the fire chief in front of the fire truck. We'll put it on your wall. I'll frame it. I'll print it off at Walgreens, and I'll bring you a frame. Yeah, so
You
I
know
like
that
charity.
the unique thing you did with Cheap Trick, that's the kind of guy that you are. I mean, you knew that that was the way to create the attention to
It
get them,
just
didn't
came
you?
out. It just came out.
Yeah, but
It
that's
just
you.
came out. Yeah. Scott Borchett, a big machine, biggest record label, and he was there, and I knew his sister Adele Borchetta whenever I played reporter in Nashville on the Nashville set. And I didn't realize, and I took a picture with her, and my buddy from down in Panama City that toured Short Jones, he said, you took a picture with him. I'm like, yeah, man, her name's Adele. She's really cool. He said, you don't understand. That's a Borchettas. I'm like, I don't know who that is. Because I was filming, I wasn't, but he had Reba McEntire, Tim, Faith, Rascal Flatts, all these people, and then I saw Scott out a couple times, and then I saw him that night. I said, "Come on, man, let's be funny." He said, "We'll be funny," and I said, "Let's be real funny." He said, "We'll be a little funny," but he was. I asked him. I said, "Okay," and everybody's got the Taylor Swift story wrong. You need to. Her dad helped fund it, and then he was leaving his old record label, and he said, if you can give me a year for my non-compete, I will help your daughter. Just wait for me. Don't jump into it. Wait for me, and you're gonna have to invest some money because I'm leaving my job. And he did. And Taylor Swift, I saw her when she started being 14 her first year on the red carpet, just a gawky little girl in the dress. She was really relatable. And she was a tween, singing the tween blues is what I call it. But I asked him, I said, okay, I've got all these people in Nashville, and people move here from Nashville. What's one thing, Scott Borchetta, that you can tell people? One thing. And he said, the original. He said, don't copy anybody else. He said, if I've got Tim McGraw, I don't need another Tim McGraw. Let somebody else have a Tim McGraw. God bless them. They'll be fine with it. So he said, if you're coming to Nashville, don't copy it. And I see so many people that should make it. They're beautiful. They have money behind them. They look like the real deal. They get up there, but there's so many of them. So I thought that's really strong advice. Be original. Be the only one that does anything.
You also interviewed Brenda Lee, and for those that don't know that
Oh,
name,
sweet, man.
47 U.S. chart hits during the 60s, ranked fourth in that decade behind, a few names that people may have heard: Ray Charles, the Beatles, Elvis. Sold over 100 million albums worldwide. And you said of her, quote, "What a sweet, fun person. She credits her long 60+ year career on advice her mother gave her to be nice to everybody, fans and friends alike," unquote. She must be an incredible woman.
She's so little. She made me feel like I was tall. But we're at the Opry, and everybody had these because they knew that we're in town during CMA week, and they contacted us, the PR companies. They said, "Man, y'all are in town this weekend. Can you come to Opry and interview some people?" I'm like, "Of course I can. I love to go there. I love it when you go to the guard gate, the back road, and you get to go on the back way, and the security man pulls out the clipboard, and TJ Cates is on there. I get excited every
Cool.
time." And we always take an artist entrance picture. And we've gotten a dressing room twice, which is amazing for me that they'll give me. It's not TJ Cates' dressing room, but it is the same dressing room they put me in. But it's Johnny Cash and everything on the wall, and it's next to Cash. But Brenda Lee was there, and I saw her, and she walked by, and I leave people alone. If they don't want to be talked to, I come off. It's like Rebecca Kroger that night. I left her alone until she came to me. But it's like, and she sat down, and I put my chairs because I like the backdrop. Your backdrop is awesome, dude.
Thank you.
The backdrop is that a Memphis River Kings up in the top right corner.
That's the Memphis Most best mattress store when I had my store. Yeah, that's the King.
Awesome.
That's what that is. Yeah, the
That's
crowning of the
good. Think
kings.
big on your tags. Yeah, I love it.
Thank you.
So anyway, but Brenda Lee was there, and I put the crowd behind me. I put my chairs in the back, and we sat there and filmed it. And just something really simple. Just if we're going to be backstage, I don't need a backdrop. I need to show that you're backstage because back. And we sat there, and I remember the one thing I remember saying to her, and she was very cute, and she said, "I said, this is TJ Cates with Nashville Entertainment Weekly," and I stopped and said, "That's a good name." She said, "It is a good name," and I knew right then this is going to be a great interview. It's she's royalty, man. I mean, she's so sweet, and she was MC that day. But she did. She said that about her mom. She said her mom said, "Be nice to everybody." I said, "Mom,
What about the Hee Haw product? Didn't you guys do something with Hee Haw with a reunion?
yeah." I grew up on Hee Haw. I guess you probably did too, and we all did at 6 o'clock on Saturday nights. And I was usually at my dad's butcher shop from working an extra hour from 6 to 7, and we played on the TV on top of the milk case. But I have a friend of mine that used to be married to one of the Hee Haw people, and most of the gentlemen that were part of it had passed. And I told her, I said, "Look, we've got a CMA event for our record label. We use it at Cabana Taps, Rhodes. It's over on Edgehill. It's such a good place, beautiful stage." And I said, "I've got an opportunity to have a fanfare if you want it for anybody that's associated with Hee Haw. Just tell them, sell your books, take pictures, invite your fans or whatever." And she said, "How much is it going to cost?" I'm like, "I didn't have to pay for the menu, so it's free." So I did, and we had about 4 or 5 of them come up, and I had Lulu, and I got to talk to Lulu. Actually, she was at the Opry the next day, and she came up and said hi. I'm like, "I've never really gotten to talk to Lulu. I didn't see her the day before," and Diane and so many people. Well, I said, "Dude," I said, "we got to get this on camera." So I asked them whether they want to go on stage. So I did film it. We're going to put it on a Roku channel and it's on YouTube and stuff. But we filmed 25 minutes. Let's just get everybody that was associated with it. And we had Danny that was associated with it, but he wasn't actually on the channel. But he actually sat there. They wanted me to host it. I'm like, "I wasn't on the show. Not the right one. I'll film it for you. I don't have to be on camera. I'll film it for you." And then he sat there and asked the questions and memories. And it's somebody will watch that in 10 or 15 years when nobody's around anymore and don't really like it. Hey, all.
When we first began, I mentioned, several of your different projects, companies and jobs, and you also host Good Morning DeSoto on an OBTV Live. And you're also running, Edge Fitness in South Haven. I mean, when do you sleep? How do you balance life and work, TJ?
I don't know, man. Like I said, 86,400. I need to get that put on a t-shirt one day. I heard that with one of my motivational tapes when I would walk so much in Radnor and different places. And it's just how you use your time. I mean, how are you going to use your time? If I gave you my agenda from, I got up at 5:15 this morning, and right now we started meeting at 2. I haven't sat down. I've sat down when I rode in my truck, and that's when I talked to the promoter for Saudi Arabia, and we're getting ready to promote 25 other artists coming to America, to New York and Las Vegas. They want to hire my company, and I'm doing some beautiful videos right now for a local museum, for Southern County Museum, and they're making it really interactive for the younger people that go to the museum. They don't want to see a picture or maybe a mannequin with a hat on. They want to see the person. So we're shooting these beautiful videos. I've already got one ready. I've got 2 more to do, and it actually puts a face with the history. And one of our African American soldiers is actually a descendant of his African American great 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 grandfather. So that's in the museum. So he's honored, and so I like doing that. I don't know, man. I just get a kick I like the
Yeah,
gym because I'm at the gym. I was at the gym this morning at 7 o'clock. I have to go to a different gym to work out because if I'm at my gym, I see a piece of paper on the floor or I see the towel thing needs to be filled. I've got people that'll do that. But yeah, I don't know, man. I just like to work. I enjoy it.
there was a great article in the DeSoto Times called, quote, Horn Lake hires TJ Cates to spearhead future growth and development, unquote. I understand that you're going to be helping to recruit more businesses to the city. It
I
sounds really
have.
exciting. Tell us about that.
Well, I like tangibility. Even in Nashville, when I was there, I'd be watching the city meetings because sport again is just not my thing, and I would I would study what they're going to go, and it's almost like if you watch it like it is a game, you can see how somebody does a presentation. You know already which city council person is going to vote one way or the other. And I would kind of in my head, I guess, kind of gamble who was going to win, and I would almost get it. It sounds weird, but I would. So when I got down here, I started my Good Morning Soda, started inviting people to be a guest just because it's my home area. So I'll be here for a little while. I'll let them tell their story because they all love what we do in Nashville. And they did reach out to me and they wanted me to be a city planner. I'm like, no, that sounds too much. I don't want an office. I don't have degrees. I don't even have an associate's degree. A lot of real estate, continuing education and, on-set film school, I guess. But they asked me to do it. And it's 5 cities in our county. And you probably know that. And this city was never the blossoming prom queen. It just never was. But they have all this green grass that's out there. They have all this chance to grow into these beautiful things. So what I do is I just cold call. I'll cold call Costco. I'll cold call Pro Golf, Chick-fil-A. If I get up network and I'll just reach out to them, and 6 months later I went out for 5 and I got one. So we're just now starting to do some amazing stuff. We have a 1,416-acre eco park that we have going in. And for the Chickasaw Nation with natural trails, we're naming after the Chickasaw leaders. I just got approved this week a project I've been working on for 5 months. It's an amazing RV park, and it's not like an RV park anybody's seen. If you went to Yosemite, if you went to a major national park, this is what it looks like. It has stamped concrete. You can only stay there 45 to 60 days. It's going to be a tourist destination. And we finally got it approved this week. I was at City Hall
Awesome.
this morning. I found 67 acres that's behind a big warehouse and manufacturing. Well, in Nashville, we have the Nations, if you're familiar with that. And
Mm.
in most cities, they have gentrification, which is turning over areas that are kind of falling apart or industrial. You put a neighborhood, you put townhomes, you put things in there. And people that are coming from other cities around Seattle, Dallas, Atlanta, Buckhead, they're used to living around that kind of stuff. But local people here, they want everything to be pristine, a neighborhood here, a neighborhood there. So what I said, we need to start building more like that, more live, work, play. And that's what I did. So today we had a meeting with the buyer 2 weeks ago. And this week, today we had a meeting with the seller and we had to get some roads in because I've driven a fire truck. I know how it works. That was one of the concerns of the fire marshals. Today we had our follow-up meeting with the mayor, alderman, city planner, and the seller, and we got it all worked out. So I, we've got, it's going to probably be 250. I don't know, man. I'm not good at that. Let's see if it's gonna be 200 homes, $300,000. So what is that? $60 million project
Right.
that I got worked out, and it's just sat there since I was a kid. The RV park's a $5 million project right by the interstate. They have Interstate Boulevard that's sat there for years, and nothing happened with it since 2004. They did a planned unit development. They have so much stuff going in down there. So it's like I told them, I said, "You're next to the interstate. Why is it so bustling on this side of the interstate and over here it's not?" They waited to see what people would bring to them. They didn't have anybody that's going after. So that's kind of what I do in my free time. I like
You know,
it.
you and your wife Jill just premiered your new movie, The Haunted Farmhouse, on October 11th. You said, "quote Today we finally completed all documents with the Library of Congress to
It's
officially copyright the Haunted Farmhouse movie franchise. Now the distributor in LA can get to work on worldwide release. It will still take a few months, I know, but today we're as excited as the first days of filming. Tell us
true
about that."
that. It's exciting. We came back to town and Jill likes to be in movies and she's a producer and a beautiful actress. And I like the whole concept of it. And when I left Memphis, I had some different people that were making shorts, and one guy can do audio, one guy can do video, and all this stuff. And I told him, I'm like, why don't y'all group together, man? Jeremy Benson did that years ago. He did. Live Animals. If you ever seen that movie, they filmed in Memphis. He made money on it. So I'm like, why don't all you guys get together again and do something? It's a little competitive, and your actor friend, whoever it was, he probably would say the same thing. But I just came up with the concept, and it's like, well, Jill and I moved here, and she is from California, and I came to Mississippi, and everybody's idea of Mississippi is rednecks, racial hatred, it's all the stuff. And it's plantation and slavery. And a lot of my friends in the movie, like Jackie, is African American female. She's in every movie I make. Dude. She's amazing. She played a slave that had her husband killed by my great great grandfather back in the 1800s because he was going to separate them. He only wanted her to take care of him, and she stayed on this land through the different eras. We hit like the 1850s. We hit the 1930s with the gangster that tried to take property. We had it changed hands over the years, and now it's Joe. Man, we got these goats of all these generations that have lived on the plantation, and something tragic happened to every one of them. And I don't tell Jill that the house is haunted. No, that's not haunted. That's not anything. It's just squirrels. It's just this. And everybody in the small town, as she goes out to pick up me some pie or go out and see a restaurant, and somebody will talk about them. Don't tell them. So it's just kind of funny, man. But the movie blossomed and turned into something, and somehow our movie trailer got a hold of a distributor in Canada. But I'd already had a contact in Los Angeles, so as long as he was that. And this guy was, I mean, he talked about percentages, sent me the contract when I was in church one night, and he sent me the contract. I'm a preacher. This is really cool. So I didn't go with them though. You know, I'm not a 15-year-old kid bright in the eyes. I'm a grown man that reads contracts every day. I read this contract. I don't think that's a good fit for us. Hey, you don't think it? I said, I think we're going to go with the first one. And we did. We're very happy. So they're going to give us what nationwide, worldwide distribution everywhere that's a non-speaking, everywhere that's an English-speaking country that allows, some communist countries don't allow all this streaming, but we're going to be streaming. We've got the possibility of going in theaters, which is really good. And the way I describe the movie, it's a haunted house movie. There's no special effects to speak of. It's just something that's going to be a little eerie, and it makes you feel a little uneasy when you watch it. Not scary, not anything that's going to bother you, but it's like a drive-in movie. When I was growing up, we'd all grab our trucks and go to the drive-in, get a six-pack of beer, and watch movies. To me, that's kind of what we made. And I allowed every actor to elaborate on any scene they wanted to. I let them do most of the wardrobe, however far they wanted to go with it. And the creativity, if you let everybody else's creativity come together, which I don't know that they do that in Hollywood or Atlanta, but I didn't tell them. I gave them lines, and I said, "This is your lines. This is the scene. This is what I want to say. Beginning, middle, and end. Anything you do in the middle, I don't care. You're going to have to do that same thing every time because we're going to shoot it 7 or 8 times in 7 or 8 ways." Got it. Anyway, so what they did with it was remarkable. Ernie Hall's a good friend of mine. He played the gangster. He and his daughter were coached, but we had to go back and explain. But I had two mayors in it. Mayor Ken Adams, Alvarez, Mayor Kedron Walls. I mean, everybody was amazing what they did. But it was so exciting to get there that first day. And we had people coming to watch on a 500-acre farm. That's getting to shoot. And the scenes that I'd written to see them played out in a way that these actors took it in their direction. They reworded some of it, and then they saw something different. They had ideas. But once they get there and have their ideas, I don't allow the two actors to work out anything between each other because then you end up with a bunch of directors. I let each actor kind of decide what they wanted to do. I liked it.
That is really unique. I haven't heard of someone doing that because, like I
It's
said,
almost improv, but it's not.
right,
It's
yeah,
almost scripted reality, but it's not. It's kind of current day drive-in flick.
that's a good explanation of it. Yeah, you recently said, "quote Walking around the new house, drinking coffee this morning. I'm loving the beautiful doors, floors, lighting fixtures, and trim. Taking time to really look around now that the boxes are all empty. Feeling so blessed on the Sunday. Working 3.5 jobs pays off." Unquote. Everything that you've done to this point and are still doing, it's all been worth it, hasn't it?
It has been. You got to work, man. I don't have my degrees. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not all this stuff that these other people have. And, we took a big financial hit 10, 11 years ago before I moved to Nashville. I mean, I was living in Red Roof Inn, and I finally ran out of money. My dad covered it on one of his credit cards. I found a basement apartment Bluebird for 850, and I came out of a 3,000 square foot house. I had a Hummer, I had a truck, I spent my son's truck, I had a boat, I had a jet ski. It's all material, man. I sold it all, paid our bills at the store the best I could, and went on and made it happen. I mean, it's all worth it. And I was just sitting. I remember that morning, and I'm looking at these marble floors. Dang, I'm sorry. I'm looking at these marble floors, and I'm looking at the 5 bathrooms that we have. And in Nashville, we had 2 bedrooms and a bath in a haunted house. We literally had ghosts everywhere. There was stuff happening all the time. And I lived there by myself where Jill came in and she said, "Do you really?" I said, "I don't care. I mean, it's cheap rent in Nashville. I'm living on Music Row. I had a studio I built in a bedroom in my office in my house. And I said, just, let it go." We had a dirt basement. We actually shot a movie there called The Ghost of Hillsborough. The Hillsborough Ghost is what we call it. But yeah, looking at where it is now, and there's a whole White Buffalo story that's just an amazing story. And sometime when you have more time, I'll tell you that. And it's how things fall into place when you don't force them and you don't tell what you want. My mom said something because she's a published poet and poet of the year twice over. And she said, if something's meant to be, if you're trying to make something happen, it can't happen. You can't make it happen.
Yeah.
But if something's meant to be, you can't stop it. So
Yep.
it's been amazing. Blind faith is a real thing. You got your distraction. You have some major disappointments, especially around the holidays with family and stuff. But man, you got to stay focused. You got to stay in your lane and always. It's like a horse with the blinders, and there's a horse and buggy with newlyweds in the back. The horse doesn't know because you're newlyweds in the wedding dress in the back. He just knows he's going down this road. He's going to take a left, take a left, take a left, stop, and he's going to get a carrot or something. I'm a big believer. Keep your blinders on.
Yeah, and I believe in what your mom talked about is there about synchronicity. Things are going to happen, the way they're going to happen, and you just have to go with it.
Yep, you do. You don't know what's going to happen out there. I mean, my daughter, we lived with my parents for 18 months in their 3,000 square foot house because I needed to do a lot of remodeling on it anyway. And I didn't have a job when I came to Nashville. And our record label was taking in maybe 20% of what it did before COVID. I mean, we took a hard hit, man. So we got a U-Haul 24 hours. I'm like, just forget it. Let's just go back. So we went back, and Jill had to. I didn't give her enough time to think about moving to Mississippi because she says she didn't move from California and Hollywood to go live in Mississippi. And I said, trust me, it's the right move. And now it is, but you just gotta have faith, man. You gotta move forward. And if something's not working, stop it. Just go on to something else. You're trying to make something happen. My daughter loves YouTube. And on YouTube they shoot these shows of these little girls that watch like really, I guess it's in Germany or something, and they have these marble floors. They have these beautiful, just over the top houses. And every day, and she was sleeping. She had her little day bed in our bedroom, in my dad's bedroom, actually. A little PJ Masks plastic bed because she had river crib. And there was nowhere else for us to go. And we dealt with this, and she would tell me every day, Daddy, I want a house. I want my own room. I want a house. I want my own room. I want a house. I want my own room. I'm like, baby, I do too. We're going to get there. And we had so many houses fall through for bad appraisals, so many cash buyers going behind us, and somebody didn't want to negotiate or do any changes. We already got a cash buyer, 40,000 more than you're paying. Why would we do what you're asking us to do? So my dad's a Razorback, Arkansas Razorback. He had bought this thing. It's a blanket. It's like a Snuggie, and it wraps up, and it's got the face of an Arkansas Razorback. Well, she and my mom, very connected, Native American. My daughter called it a buffalo, and she said they would sing the song. They throw it back and forth. Buffalo girl, won't you come home tonight? Come home tonight. Come home tonight. It was just something they did, and I'm telling you this for a reason. So anyway, I had met this Indian man named Ron Patel. He was doing hotels and development, and he owns a gas station, and he had some land he wanted me to look at. We actually turned out to become really good friends because I think outside the box. Everybody doesn't have to look like you, sound like you, to believe in what you do, to be friends with them. Right. And it's just one of the kindest spirits, and he's Hindu. And I went to Nashville for CMA, and I stopped and saw my next door neighbor, Adam and him. And Adam's a lawyer from Vanderbilt Law, went to Belmont, Montgomery Bell Academy, just over the top. Oh God, but he's a shaman, if you know anything about that. And his brother was a shaman. And I told him, I said, I met this. It's like he took me, showed me 2 houses. He said, well, TJ, I bought land for the commercial to build a hotel, 35 acres. But he said, house, whichever one you want. You can just rent it just to have a place for your family. And I'm like, I said, but I really want to understand his belief system. I'm all about belief systems, relationships. And he said, well, let me show you a book. He said, this is his belief, and it's all about prayers and blessings. And he sees you being blessing him because of your friendship, the things you're helping him in the city, the things you're helping him with developments and things like that. And he always says, I don't ask anything of him. I just don't. It's not my job to do. But he opened this book. He said, read this. I'm like, dude, I don't like to read. You know, I don't like to read. I talk, I don't read. And he opened, he said, I'll read it. I'm like, no. He opened the book from some kind of Hindu belief system, opens the book, it's prayers and blessings. At the top of this page was a white buffalo. And I'm like, what's up with the buffalo? He said, that's their symbol for prayers and blessings. That's they think that they pray about something, they're blessing. And I said, he did praise and he believes that he should be doing this. So I told him, I said, I showed him pictures. I said, the thing that's the most remarkable is my daughter had was talking about. I want a house. And I asked her, she can talk. She's almost 4 years old. I said, baby, when you saw those pictures of the YouTube video and you saw the marble floors and you saw the high ceilings and you saw the over the top granite in her back, she's got her own bathroom with granite and steel tubs. And it's just, I would never in my life have picked this house. It's on 35 acres. We have deer. We have all kind of wildlife. We have a saltwater pool. We have a triple garage, a double garage, and I'm paying. I'm paying him for it. Well, he said well, TJ said that's just part of their system. He's let you into his world, his belief system, because you're not acting like a regular man from Mississippi, I guess, that maybe treats him differently. So anyway, I asked my daughter, I said, were you thinking about that house in your little show that you watch on YouTube? And she said, yeah. She said, I wanted a room like her. I wanted a house like hers. This house doesn't exist in Mississippi. So that's what I meant. The deep part of that post is when I was sitting there, it was just amazing. We finally got the boxes unpacked, got our utility, got to put everything, and it was just I sat there with my cup of coffee. And I said, oh my gosh, look where we are right now. So, well said, man, you got our blind faith, whether everybody believes it or doesn't believe it or whatever. I mean, I was living off $5 a day was my daily budget of food when I moved to Nashville. But for 31 years, we owned a grocery store. We're going to be filet mignon every night, crab legs filet every night. It was all to get me in the mindset to be more appreciative and to check your faith. It's hills and valleys. I used to be at a hill. I went to a valley, a little hill, way down to a valley, come back up, and then it's just what happens, man. 86,400 seconds in a day.
Yeah,
If you
my
don't
mine.
use if you don't use your extra 8 hours sleeping, working, you got 8 hours.
Right. My mindfulness coach trainer, Greg Raber, talks. He says it's ebbs and flows. Is how life is, ebbs and flows.
Some of these younger generations I sound like an old man. So like I think I relate more to Archie Bunker as I get older. That's why I quit watch. I don't watch the news. Who shot who? I don't watch the national news. Who hates who? I don't put that in my head. But yeah, a lot of the younger generation with college degrees and might go right in making 70, 80 grand a year. They haven't had any valleys or flows, ebbs and flows, whichever one it'd be. I guess it'd be ebb. They haven't had that yet, and that's something that I hope they never do.
Right.
But I've had a bunch of them
Me
right
too.
now. Yeah,
Me
but you got
too.
to go back. Look at you, man. You got your own show. You got Think Big on your tag back there.
Thank you, man.
You got Think Big. You can have it on your show,
Yeah,
on your hat.
I love doing it. It's been a
What
lot
does
of
that
fun so
mean?
far.
Think big. Tell me, describe that for me. Not to try to interview you because I
No,
know that
that's I've always think in my mindset. This is going back about 30 years when I used to sell Cutco knives when I was in college. It was that most people in today's world, even then, even now, think too small. They don't think big. Like the way you think. You dream big and you think big. And I just said, I just want to promote that. And then when I was trying to come up with a title for the show and everything, it just sort of like that fits. It's just perfect. So
Uh-huh.
I was like, yeah, that's what I want to do.
You
It's been a
got
lot of
to.
fun so far. I love it.
Don't let your dreams, limit you. I mean, but you also have to know. Clint Eastwood said something. I said it the other day, and he said a man's got to know his limitations. You have to know your limitations, and you can't find gratefulness if you're not grateful for where you are. So I really try to stop, be grateful of the point that I'm at, but also if if you look at the world, man, from space and all kind of opening movie credits, they always have that, and I find that kind of funny. It and Tom Hanks did it in the Apollo whatever movie where he had his thumb and he covered up the Earth. It shows you how small this is. We don't know everything else that's out there. So if you realize how small the world can be from a distance, God do, then your life and where you think is important, that doesn't matter. I hope I leave a good mark on the world. I think I have. And just like our movie, our horror movie, it's not bad. We didn't cuss, no shower scenes. I think Jill said, I'm going to take a shower just to be funny. I'm going to take a shower scene and nobody will know it's me. Said everybody will know it's you. But I did because you told me not to. But we had so much Bible scripture in this movie. And when I shot movies in Memphis and I would shoot different movies, I would usually put a little bit of a scripture in there because even if they don't believe the Bible, it's still a pretty good thing to guide you and give you, good lessons for the day. So there's so much negativity, man. You've got to have something positive. So even with this, we had a pastor, and we're not so sure that the pastor was on our side all the time, but he was using the Bible, and we would Google what does the Bible say about this, and we just throw it in there. Who cares? What are they going to do? People can throw anything they want to in there, but don't get mad at us for doing that. Nobody that watches the movie will even realize. They'll just hear the words and then they'll hear it, but they heard the words. So that's my give back, I
And
think.
positive messages is so important. That's why I said with this when I first started it, all positive, no politics. I'm not going to bring anything negative in at all. I want all positive messages for people to be able to take something good away from this.
I had a job offer last week in Memphis to host a morning show that became available in this talk radio. It was at 6 o'clock in the morning. And even though up there you had to research, and he said you got to research the politics and talk about them in the first 45 minutes. You know, and we even had a meeting with our planner this morning about the neighborhood. And he was, when government this, I said, but you got to do this to please the alderman. You got to do this to please the neighborhood, to burn, to separate a couple neighborhoods. But that's not anything that we should request. He just got out of school. I said, the only advice I can give you that they probably didn't teach you at school is there's government and there's politics. There's two different things. He doesn't understand that yet. I said, but yeah, politics, everybody's got a religion. Everybody has an opinion. I gotta quit kicking that. But everybody has them. Just respect that they have an opinion. Who cares?
Right.
So
This is
you're
long.
smart to do that.
Thank you.
Very
This is
smart.
long, but I want to read it because it's important. You'll understand why. October 31st, 2021, you said, quote, I will miss her as she always had a smile. She remembered my birthday every time and even called me a few weeks ago for my last one. She has fought health issues for over 40 years. She was one of our best neighborhood moms. I'm sure I was at their house or Bill was at mine every day as we grew up. Please lift up the McCammon family in prayer. She had a strong faith and one of the biggest giving spirits to help others that I've ever witnessed. If anyone ever deserved eternity in heaven with the Lord, it was this fine lady. She called herself my second mama, but she was a mama to everyone that ever met her, unquote. In a world of where I believe there are no coincidences, I knew Pat and
You did.
I know the McCammons well.
There you
Pat,
go.
Pat had a brain bleed on December 26, 2008. My dad had one on December 27th, 2008. We were all at Baptist Hospital up here in Memphis at the same time. I met Vernon in the neuro waiting room. We spent many hours together and helped each other stay sane over a couple months. And, over the 12 years since that happened, Pat stayed in touch with me, called me all the
Mhm.
time, checking on me. I just yesterday, there's messages on my phone. I just yesterday listened to a couple of them,
Oh,
and just to hear
sweet.
her voice and it made me, gave me chills and made me feel good inside. And, you couldn't have said it any better about her. She was one of a kind, very special lady. I'll never forget her. And I knew, I'm sure that she was always been that same wonderful person that she was as you grew up with from the time you knew her all the way to her passing. Just a great lady.
Well, I met her. I moved, and Bill was one of the first people I met in the fifth grade. They lived directly down the street, and we we drove down there quite a bit. Actually, Vernon is what they were in the house. He wanted their family, and I cooked for him. He said, "How do you cook this?" I said, "You go and buy it, and this is what you look for." And I said, "Then you bring it to me." I said, "He said, but I'm going to cook 3 or 4." I said, "Bring me 3 or 4. I'm going to cook them for you." And I did. He in the 12th grade, his wife had I think her heart failed her, and Vernon was a fire chief, and Danny, his brother, was all medical, and Patricia worked in the ambulance. And they revived her at that point, and she was in the hospital. Bill came and stayed with us. Um, yeah, that family, man, they've been through some stuff, but they're just there. They're like so stable and so wonderful. And Pat was always so sweet. I mean, she called me on my birthday every year. This is Mama. And then when she got too weak one year, 2 years actually, she had this little doll and she pushed the button and sing happy birthday to you because she wasn't strong enough to get
Oh,
the whole song out. This is the first year she did. I tell you the icing on the cake. My mom just had her 80th birthday 2 days ago or 5 days ago. Bill called my mom on her birthday. He's never done that before. But he always loved my mom, and anytime they have any air conditioning problem, hot water heater, he's the first one over there since it's crazy. He's taken really good care of my parents, but this year I know he missed his mom. And calling my mom was their neighborhood moms back then. You know? We went Halloween trick or treating the other night in the neighborhood where we don't know anybody in Hernando, or we didn't think we did. And we go by, and then I see TJ. And Jill said, "Oh my gosh, we can't go there." So it was a beautiful home, and as friends of mine, I had neighbors 20 years ago. We don't get finished, come back here. We want to bring you inside. So we go in after we trick or treated for like an hour, hour and a half in a beautiful neighborhood. And then they had made dessert. And then they had Domino's pizza. This teenage daughter was having a pool party. He did pool party. And it was just, and all these teenagers were there. And then I was there talking to him. We always get along famously, and his wife and Jill was just meeting. We had Annalisa, and they loved Annalisa. We got to share a picture. There's one where he was holding her, and Annalisa didn't know the difference, dude. She's sitting there having what they give her. They gave her Fritos and Domino's pizza, pepperoni pizza. She's sitting there at this table. She didn't know what this house was. We walked right in and we're sitting there, and it made me think about our neighborhood moms back in the 70s because it was such an innocent time. If we were all playing and watching Evil Knievel Saturday afternoon or Tarzan or anything, and we're just playing, pickup game at the Donny Woods Field or something, we would all just walk in a little grove, and we'd end up whoever's house came first from wherever we were, and somebody's mom was going to make ham sandwiches, give you Kool-Aid. And that's just it was a really sweet moment the other night with Annalisa because she just knew that we were somebody's house and she was getting pizza. In her mind, that's all it was. But to me, it was a neighborhood mom. That mom was having have a swim party for $1, and then she welcomed us in their house. It's really cool. It's out there, man. If people would quit trying to conquer and divide, it's like at my birthday party, I wish I would have known you this well. I would have had you down, but we had about 75 or 80 people. And I had Albrights mayor, Walls mayor, Horn Lake mayor. We had a bunch of aldermen. And then I had Jackie and I had Grady Hines, which I was friends with since 5th or 11th grade, big black guy. But
I saw a
and,
picture of the two of you guys together.
and
Yeah.
then Courtney from Edge Fitness, he and his wife, Monica, which are amazing people. And I told Jill said, "You know something about your party?" I said, "All black people." And she said, "Yeah." She said, "That's really funny because I don't know that everybody that was in my party would have this many connections over their whole life with all these people." And Grady Hines and I just love each other. He's just like a brother to me. And I called him the other day and I said, "Grady, he's on disability." And I said, "Grady, I got to put up a silt fence." And I said, "You said you want to come help me, but I'm going to give you $40." He said, "I don't want any money." I said, "I'm going to give you," he said, "Be 20." He said, "Well, can I come if you give me 20?" I said, "Yes." So he did. But this divide and conquer bull crap with politics, they got to quit it.
No.
We're all in earth. We're all Americans. What happened? United? Well, I don't want to get political and I won't. But this divide and conquer, it's not the plan. Not at all. So I love what you're doing, man. I
Thank
think
you.
it's great to hear people sort of like Pam the other day. What an outstanding person. We met at the casino shoot at Gold Strike, and she was featured because she's a model and stuff. So beautiful. If you ever seen her in person, her
Yeah, we
eyes
went
are
to high school. Yeah, high school together.
her eyes are like something you've never seen in your life.
Yeah.
She has the eyes of a movie star from the 40s and 50s. She just amazes me. And perfect bone structure. And a beautiful husband, wife, husband, children, everything. And the way she speaks, and I did mean that whenever I had her in the old the what was it called, the glass tie, and she was a broke man's wife, and then she went and played a newly married, and she did it, but it was still Pam, but it was like remarkable, dude. She had a different tone, different air about her, but it wasn't an actor's air. It was a tone. Yes, she's really good. I've been so fortunate to meet so many people over my life, man. And it's the widest variety ever you'll ever know in your life.
December 29th, 2017, you said, "Hey, everybody, Jill Santa Benez is having a birthday Saturday and we'll be celebrating all weekend long. It's my fourth year to spend it with her and spoil her to show how much I appreciate her for everything she does for me and so many others." She said of you on September 21st, "Happy birthday to my sweet man, the one who I adore. Here are a few pictures, but of course, we have so many more of our beautiful family together, sharing incredible adventures and moments we'll cherish forever for the time, the work, the love you show, being a wonderful man and daddy. Cheers to so many more happy years watching our family grow. We love you, TJ Cates." Tell us about Jill.
That's nice. She's tall, and we wear the same size shoes. She jokes because in Nashville we go hiking constantly because we both like outside, and I had shoes, and I said these shoes feel just a little bit weird, my feet. And she said, "You're wearing my shoes." I'm like, "Cool." But she was a runner in California, and she's so talented. The first middle of our relationship in the past 6 years, we butted heads, man. It was right before Annalisa. I'm like, I don't know if it's going to work, man, because she's so driven, and you can't. And I said, Jill, I've already been through this. We could. Some of the things that she would be hard headed about was a really good idea, and some of the way she talks to people, like they do obviously in California. I said, "Baby, you're in the South. We don't talk like that." At Waffle House one night, she said it was two people in there, and we're at Waffle House, and she said something so very direct. And whenever we first started the film, I started letting her interview with me at the National Film Festival. It was good. She looked beautiful, and she does a really good job. But we both had people that were kind of clinging on because Nashville's when somebody's making it, you start grabbing people that grab you to soar with you. And so we had some really good situations like that. But she's so articulate, and she does these amazing spreadsheets for me in my jobs that I don't have time. I don't know how she finds time to do everything she does. She just signed another three people with our record label in the past 30 days, maybe. She's got her PR company. She she keeps up with Annalisa from 6 in the morning until 9 o'clock at night. She's she cleans like nobody you've ever seen in your life. There's never going to be anything undone, a speck of dirt, anything. So I don't know how she does everything she does. So we met the night of first night on the red carpet, and there was a show called Josie, and she was a producer and played a little part on there. And then I interviewed him, and I've still got the video, and I shared pictures years ago where I made a post and I said, guys, if you don't know how to get a girl, make them laugh. And there's this collection of these, they look like Melrose plates or something, just the most beautiful 7 or 8 people on the red carpet. And I was interviewing them, and everybody was like this and like this, and they're so excited about themselves. And the director with this hat, his t-shirt and blazer, you want to look like a film director. And and Jill was like laughing. She got my jokes. She's like laughing at my stupid things that I say, and we did a good interview. And then I was working on a couple of really short films, just projects, and then she wanted to help with that, help with casting. We realized when everybody else was goofing off before and after, I would look over at her. She's writing stuff down. She's making notes. She's doing her job. And everybody else says, "Hey, drink beer." No, you can't drink beer on the set. Don't show up with drugs or alcohol. Send your ass down the road. We don't do that. You're here to work. If you worked in the cubicle at FedEx, would you carry a beer to work? No,
Right.
we don't do that. We're at work right now. And she was focused, man. She was really focused, and she was organized. If I told her, I said, we need this individual for this. We need to bring these people back for this scene. And she was there. And that's when I realized her work ethic and my work ethic. And when we got together, we made some headway, man. I was like, Jill, I said, I've got these people that want us to start promoting their music. And she said, we can do that. I'm like, what do we need to know? She said, we'll figure it out. And then I said, well, I'm kind of a go for it guy. And I said, well, Marty Robbins' old recording studio on 18th Avenue is for rent. She said, who's Marty Robbins? I'm like, well, Cletus T. Judd had the same studio after him. She's like, who's Cletus T. Judd? I'm like, I don't know. Let me go work it out. And I went up there and I worked it out and found the owners. And all of a sudden, we got Cowboy Troy down there. We got the Mandrells below us in the basement. And we rented that spot. We started picking up. We got on some TV. We started doing some chairs and interviews. And there's a funny, I can't tell you my Opry story because Jill's tired of me telling it. It's a good Opry story. I'll tell you, we had a green screen, and I interviewed this guy that got to play at the Opry one time, and I green screen the Opry behind us. And I got a letter from the lawyer telling me I can't do that. The Opry, I'm like, dude, I said, I'm sorry. I said, he said, you need to take it down by such and such date. I waited till midnight that night to take it down. We're blowing up. And I said, man, we got to get the Opry. And so I emailed him back and I said, yeah, man, I'm really sorry about that. I called him, he didn't answer the phone. And I left him a voicemail. He didn't call me back. I said, no, man, I got my contact at the Opry now. Lawyer, whoever, I'm going to take it. And I emailed him back and I said, hey, can I get permission to go back and interview the legends that are at the Opry? He's like, no, that would have to be so and so that you do. And I said, is that who you carbon copy? He said, no, blind carbon copy. I'm like, no, you didn't. So I went after that guy and I told him, I said, dude, he's a case, I'm mobile, I can come interview. I want to go to the Opry and interview some people and tell the stories behind the scenes, not just what they see on stage, because that to me that's more interesting. And he never responded. And the lawyer left me alone. I took down the video. I'm like, that's the end of it. We get our music Road Studio, all of a sudden we started getting calls from PR companies for all the Opry stars. And Jeannie Seeley, for one, that's been there, what, 50 years and introduced Carrie Underwood and all these people. I said something about our show. She said, we DVR it every night, watch it on Sunday mornings. She said, we love it. We've been waiting on you to call us. But there's such a barrier to get from people at our low level to get to the high level. You've got interns and you have PR companies. You've got people in the road like Tanya Tucker. I call her FaceTime all the time. She is awesome. And but to go through the PR people hard unless they need prove that they're doing their job, which they are. But people still want to tell their story. And what I do is like you, I let people tell their story. Are they out of breath? They gotta go to the bathroom, they gotta go to bed, whatever. Let's tell their story. Who cares? I started doing that and had the most interesting stories. Like our husband, Gene is Jeannie Seeley's husband, comes in a cane and he parked in the lawyer's spot out front. And it says towaway zone, lawyers only. He said, well, I'm a lawyer. And he parked out there. That guy will tow people all day long. But he came in and I loved him, man. He was so interesting. And he was just talking about how he was so grateful they didn't have all the paparazzi back in the day. And he would get the calls. I'm not going to tell you the names, but he'd get the calls from so and so, and they got locked up downtown because drunk and driving and fighting in bars and back in the alley in Tootsie's. And he'd go scoop them up and bring them and drop them off at their house in his Cadillac. And those stories to me are way more interesting than a pre-planned thing about somebody's life. Blake Shelton, I got some good stories there. Um, it's so many people you talk to and you talk to them off camera. It's just really interesting to me. So that's kind of more what I do. But the Opry stuff is good. Anyway, I rented that studio. We kept it. We started signing people up. Record label stuff has started really growing. Then we started understanding the reach groups of other people's reach groups. We do interviews. We share it for somebody in town from Florida, somebody in town from Michigan, somebody in town from California, from Sweden, Canada. We start getting inquiries and following around there. So we like it. We've made friends all around the world, and we're big fans of fan engagement. If they say a nice comment to us, we thank them for it. If they do a share, we thank them for sharing. What does it matter? What are we so busy we can't say thank you?
Right.
So yeah, Jill's like that, but man, she's a hard worker.
You said, quote, happy, you talked about your mom recently. Happy 80th birthday to my
She's
mom.
awesome.
Poet of the year and mother of a lifetime. She has been supportive of my dreams and inspiration of going after all that the creative world has to offer. She has also been my best friend, and we try to call each other every day. Most importantly, she has been my daily Facebook grammar and punctuation editor.
Oh yeah.
Thank you so much for everything, Aunt Carolyn Cates. I love you so much, unquote. And talking about your dad, you said, he's the king of Patah, Army veteran, award-winning barbecue pitmaster, Christian leader, brother, uncle, father, grandfather, great-grandfather, still moving forward, unquote. Your mom and dad are going to be celebrating their 62nd anniversary coming up, I believe, on November 12th. You said,
you're good, man. Good for you.
thank you. Quote, they don't make people like this anymore. I am grateful for them, unquote. They sound like two really special people.
They are. My dad had a tough year this year with his diabetes. His father, I learned after a funeral, his dad left him Arkansas and Helena, and he lived in a train car for a while. And his dad was a moonshiner. Found that out until Grandpa died. I love Grandma. It would have been a really good story to tell, but my grandma didn't want any of that shared until 20 years later when she passed. And I saw the car, and so I understand where my dad comes from. He didn't have a lot of loves and hugs and everything, but my dad, just an outstanding dad. He never let me lay around like my friends would lay around. I never did. He would be working. every day, 7 days a week if there's something to do. Unless we go fishing or canoeing or hunting or something, we would do something like that. Um, yeah, my mom began poetry in the '70s, and she just joined it. She got really good at it. She's every possible president of every possible Alabama, Tennessee, Arkansas, all these different places. She's traveled around all over the country for that. The state of Mississippi has paid for her to be poet of the year twice. They paid for her book to be published and get it out there. It's really good. I think you should copy of it. It's amazing. So she, she and I were just talking about this yesterday, how or the day before yesterday, how nobody wrote poetry. Most of the wives would take their kids to football. Most wives would be making a supper when their husband came home. My mom would do that, but we'd work every day, and she owned a business also. So she really, as far as going for something and being a writer and being creative and put pen to paper, and now it's typing things out. I'm really good at that. And my mom was always really popular and very good. And she always liked it. She says when she'd go out of town to go to a convention in Little Rock or Alabama, people would come sit at my table, come sit at my table. And we did that even at my son's wedding. I had that. And people from the other side of the family that they wanted to come sit at our table because it's more fun. We're going to talk. We're going to have a good time. We're just going to have the best time. And my mom and dad are like that. And Ty is the Cotton Carnival crew. My dad was king. My mom was princess. And to be big dances that we would go to after working in the meat house all day. We would go there and go to dances. And my dad's such a good businessman. And he's got an eighth grade education. Went into the army when he was 17. His mom died when she was 18. And he went back to Paragould, Arkansas. And mom to go to his mom's funeral. My mom was standing on the street corner, not weird or anything. She just got down to school. She's hanging out there. My dad walked over to her and was talking to her. He said, "Can I walk you home?" And she said, "No." He said, "I really want to walk you home." She's like, "No, you're not going to be the kind of guy that walks me home." He's not going to walk you home. He said, "Okay, walk us home." And they did. And that was what, 63 years ago. So just that chance meeting us home for 2 weeks to go to his mom's funeral. And my mom actually went to the funeral with him, which I think is really a super sweet icing. There's a movie in that, just the way that he landed in Arkansas. His dad was from Chicago. He came down here with a trunk full of booze, going to the Ozarks, had overleaf springs in the car and they were driving, and it made it look legit because the son was riding with him. And he didn't get to go back and get his son. He just held out up there. But it's a really good story and it's really sweet. But yeah, they're really good. Today I took them to lunch and had a meeting that thought would be an hour. It was an hour and a half, but I don't leave my meetings till they're over. And we went to lunch. And, they're getting older. My mom gets tired now a little bit, and my dad gets tired. My mom, she's still writing poetry. She's winning contests. She's judging contests and everything like that. My dad is he likes to see football. We've never shared sports together, and he likes to do that. And he reads a Western novel every single day of his life, and he reads a paper every single day of his life. So
It's
yeah,
amazing when I talk about synchronicity and the power of a moment. Like you talked about how they met. I mean, it wasn't a chance meeting. That was supposed to happen. It happened. That's the way it was supposed to happen.
well, I asked Jill and said, "Where did y'all meet at?" And we met on the red carpet at the film festival. They just think that's so exciting because most people have never been to a red carpet, especially when it's so big with so many big stars that night. It's really remarkable. So I think Jill and I were made to be together. It took us a long time to find each other, but now we've got a good life and she works really hard. And I have, there's nothing negative to say. She's just amazing. She stays focused on her phone and her computer a lot. And I said, Jill, you're gonna have to get a picture that looks like your face because all I see is the top of your head from early in the morning till late at night. But all of our artists, we have most of the people we work with, we've been working with 3 or 4 or 5 years. And usually if somebody can't find their dreams, they can't succeed in music, they will just move to another company and they'll try it there. They'll just say, well, they couldn't give me what I wanted. Maybe it's not us. So I'm the bad guy sometimes. I'll tell them it's like, every picture I see of you, and they'll come play in Nashville. And I'm like, I have a whiskey. I said, better down it. Don't get on my camera with the whiskey behind you on stage. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to see you bring a drink. I don't want to do that. And I'm kind of the tough one on them. Jill will be the bubbly and tell them, this is so amazing. This is awesome. Your music's great. And they know if I'm calling them, it's usually going to be to tell them something that they really need to hear. And it's like the Eddie T band. I love them up in Detroit, and he plays the drums and a great singer, man. Eddie Tabbitt. He might be a good interview for you. I don't know, but he was playing drums, but he always let somebody else be the front man, and he would sing back in the back. I'm like, and he told me, man, I called him and said, Eddie, if I ever see you behind those drums again, I'm going to drive my truck to Detroit and I'm going to get rid of him. Get up front and be a front man. And he did, and people love him. We're about the same age, but he's got a David Lee Roth quality about him without kicking his legs over. He's very charismatic. He's got a killer voice, a great songwriter. We do that, and we've had some artists that just didn't like me telling them how to dress. It's like tonight we're going. Trick Pony has invited us to go to a CD release party. I want to bring you guys with us. We're going to get a photo op. I'll introduce you to the manager and see if we can all progress. Because if I can introduce somebody to one of my big contacts and he can take them up, so be it. God bless you. Go make it. I'm not going to. There's some people that wouldn't introduce you, and I've got a couple that are like that. They won't bring their people around us because they think we're going to steal them. I'm not going to steal them. If they want to come to us, let them come. You know. But a couple of people wouldn't listen to me, and I'll see it from the outside, and Jill sees it from the radio, and I'll see visually what are they going to look like. So we make
That's a
a
good
good
match.
team. I think it's a good match.
Yeah. Your dog, Daisy, your son, Zachary, and you and Jill's little daughter, Annalisa. Tell us about
Yes,
your family.
I love my dog. We got her as a rescue in Nashville. I don't know what this. Okay, got him as a rescue in Nashville. I had a lab that was back home, a lab husky mix. Put her down last year, but Daisy is the most amazing dog. She's a big bull, and she is such a good dog. You can snap. We had a lot of homeless people come into our neighborhood because we live by the interstate, and I taught her how to bark on command. So when I would tell the people, please don't come in my yard, because she looks like a pit, but she's not. She's a beagle, little pit in her, and she's like, and I found her in a cage at a free dog in Craigslist. I said, I want that dog, and they brought it to me, and she's just been a great dog, man. I run now down to the gate. We got like iron gates at our property, and we have to push them up. It's very pretentious, but I didn't put the gates up. The gates were here when I got here. I want everybody to realize that. But I got a garage quicker so we can get in quicker. But Daisy is just the most amazing dog. She's loving the farm. She came from the rough part of the city in Nashville, and we've had her for 7 years. My son, I had him when I was a teenager. I was a freshman in college at 18, and he I coached his t-ball. His mom moved him down to Florida when he was about 7 or 8 years old. I tried really hard to keep a relationship with him, which is hard, 1,000 miles away. A lot of legal battles, and that's all part of life. So finally got him up, and then he had a chance one day. I drove to Miami during the hurricanes and took him stuff down. I had to put a grill and a sofa, and me and one of the big black guys for a meat market. We drove to Miami for a week and went down there and saw him. And then he said one day, he said, "Well, Dad," he said, "I've got a chance to get a job in Atlanta." Because I kept telling him, "Well, son, you've got 2 degrees. You don't need to be working in the sports bar as a waiter anymore." And he said, "Well, what should I do?" I'm like, "What do you care about?" Because I always told him, I said, "You can work like me with your hands, or you work with your mind." And he chose to work with his mind. Anyway, he got a job offer to work in pharmaceutical research for a psychiatric company that lived across the street from him in Florida. They went to Atlanta, open it up. He said, "But they want me there in 2 weeks." I said, "Sell your crap and go, man. I'll see you there." So I met him in Atlanta. We got him a little apartment, a real nice little apartment in the Garden District, and he lived there. And then we got him a condo when Obama was nice enough to help people get in their first house. We got him in a condo. He met a girl named Lori, and they got married. And I was spending so many trips, like every weekend, driving to Birmingham, meeting him, driving to Atlanta, and it was really good. He moved to North Alabama. Now he has 2 daughters. We actually have daughters the same age, which I'm sure probably doesn't excite him as much as it does me. But they're 6 weeks apart. Beautiful family, beautiful house. His wife is a recruiter for a national attorney's office, and he's just got a really good life. He goes to the country club. He's like my dad, though. He likes his ball games, and he'll spend all weekend on his ball games. It's like, oh, what are you doing? Yeah, but he's beautiful. He's perfect in every way. I tell him he's perfect all the time. He said, "No, not really." Well, one time I found out in Atlanta, he shared a picture, and he was a big brother to an African American inner city. I said, "Zachary, are you? When did you do this?" He said, "I did about 6 months ago." He was before he met his wife, and he said, "I really, I have all these things, and I'm making money, and I'm real grateful, and I want to do that." So some of the things that I feel like I've tried to get in his head, he did pick up. So anyway, that's Zachary. And you asked about somebody else. Yes.
Annalisa.
Oh yeah, Annalisa. Let's see. Yeah. Um, she I was in my 50s, but my grandfather, my mom's dad, had 10 children. And so they could pick cotton. They kept having babies. So he made twins when he was 56 years old. When I was 55, 54, maybe less. I don't know. Jill became pregnant. And I was pretty excited about it. I was excited that I knew I could still make babies. And I was excited that we're going to have a baby. And everybody said, "This is going to be a pretty baby." I said, "I hope to goodness it's a tall, slender baby."
She is
And
pretty.
she's so beautiful. And she has an agent in Nashville. My agent signed her already. She's auditioning for Home Depot. She auditioned for Carter Kids. She auditioned for a feature film a few weeks ago. So we got her doing auditions. And today I was coaching her on her school pictures and doing how to tilt her head, look at the camera and stuff. So and she did exactly that. The teacher sent me a picture, said, "She's the only kid that did this." I'm like, "I know, because I coached her for 20 minutes in the mirror how to do the picture for school pictures." But she's really cool. She's very smart, like Jill. She can do her alphabet. She counts to 27, I believe. She's 3. She knows all of her alphabet. She knows all of her colors, she knows shapes. She's way ahead of the game of what they're trying to teach her in daycare, but that's okay. But she loves to dress up. Everything's a princess. But we hit the garage sales on Saturday, so we're not blowing money, even though I'm making money. We don't blow the money. She loves to go out and do things like that. And then she really likes crowds of people. She likes singing in public. She got a keyboard. She has electric guitar. She has everything that she needs. She has a cajon. But I'll take her outside and we'll go walk across the field and she'll get just dirty. The freaking rugrat, man. She will just come in muddy and her mom like, "What are you doing? You're clean 20 minutes ago." She loves it. So she likes the inside, like Jill, who doesn't care for outside so much. She loves to dress up and her hair to be pretty and people to make a fuss. But she has a red Jeep and she rode the red Jeep up to the barn last week. I'm like, "Baby, I don't think you can make up that hill. It's gravel." And we're going up that hill. And she said, "I want to go up that Jeep. I'm going." She did it. And I pushed her a couple times and then she pulls off road and mom said, "When you go with your daddy, don't drive off the road. Don't get in the grass and go by." She did it. She stayed off road. So she's got a lot of Mississippi country girl in her, but she's very California.
What are the most important lessons that you've learned in life?
To be a good guest when you're on a podcast, to think big. I think you get do-overs sometimes and sometimes you don't. So you need to pretty much grow up and you need to realize that you need to do it right. And you need to realize that everybody in your circle, you might come back and see them again. So it's how you treat people. So I'm really big about connections. And I like to have, like my friend, like Patricia's son, we've been friends since the 5th grade. Another friend, we've been friends since the 5th grade. I was friends at Whitehaven in South Memphis, and I was the only white kid in South Memphis in our neighborhood because my dad was working class. Mom said we were broke. We were broke. We didn't know we were going to feed y'all tomorrow. And we were surprised by today, and I didn't know that. My mom let me be a kid. She didn't stress me about that. We try not to stress Annalisa about things. And I did that with my son, and I don't know if that was a good thing or not. But when you go through legal stuff, his mom decided she was going to share everything with him, and I just don't believe in that.
Right.
Kids should. The Bible speaks of it. Let them not worry about it. And at least it doesn't do that. But I don't know, man. I like to keep my connections, and like I said with Patricia, he's, we were friends with them, and then when I was growing up in South Memphis, my parents didn't tell me we were poor. I thought we were rich. I thought our house looked like the Brady Bunch. It was a trial level. And I thought everybody was going to birthday parties. And I've got pictures now that look like a photo dot in the middle of 15 kids. And I went to school with them and Randy and Daryl Miller and Randy Radiat, but changed his name to Randy Jackson. I guess his mom had gotten remarried at that point. I remember we had 2 names and Grady Hines. I mean, people don't have to look like us and they don't have to believe in what we believe to be friends with them. I really strongly believe they have to be around only like-minded people. I don't get it. The world's more fun by seeing what else is out there. I wish I had more time to travel the world and see cultures, things like that. But right now I'm on a roll, so Jill can go travel. I can be right here. She can do her job from her phone. I
Right.
have to be at a meeting. Yeah.
I said it when we started. I'll say it again. I've never met anyone who is involved as many jobs, careers, opportunities, projects as you. You're also helping Horn Lake out, bringing new businesses there, help the city grow. I mean, you have so much passion, enthusiasm for life. There's no doubt in my mind that any venture that you touch is going to be lucky to have you. And it's been a real pleasure to have you on today. I really appreciate your time.
Hey man, I appreciate you. All right, what's your biggest takeaway from life? Tell me,
I'm
answer
sorry,
that
I
like
didn't hear that. Sorry. Once,
your question you asked me. What's your biggest lesson in life? I want to know if I could just ask that.
I'd say probably the biggest lesson that I've learned is that, not to be as trusting as I've always been. My dad always would tell me, he goes, Michael, you trust people too much. And he
Hmm.
says that can be good, but that also can be bad and
Hmm.
stuff. And, it's the Ronald Reagan quote, trust but verify, and just a little bit too trusting. And I've gotten, I'm not a victim, but I think I've gotten taken advantage of by people before because of that and everything. Because I have a good heart, I wear my heart on my sleeve, and I don't apologize for that. But I'm just saying, maybe just a little bit, be a little bit more cautious and not
Have
be
to.
so trusting to, maybe take my time a little bit more with people.
My dad is really good, like your dad. How old's your dad?
He passed away in 2013. He was 77.
When he passed, he would have been about the same age bracket my dad was.
Yeah.
They're really good at reading people because they didn't have the internet and Facebook and all that. So I had a couple of people I worked with in Nashville. I had a lot of people back here that I worked with, and that's I don't know him, but you just can't trust them. My dad didn't talk bad about anybody. He said it maybe three times in my life. I can remember. I never listened to him. I do now. I never listened to him. And I said, no, he doesn't know. This is all cool. It wasn't cool. Well, the Facebook is really good about circles because I mean some people just had to write off not because of what they did, but people in their circle, and you can pay attention. And my friends don't understand that. I'll cut somebody off a heartbeat. I don't even care. I won't look back. I don't wish harm on you, but I can't have you slow me down. I can't have you distracted. But some of the people that have taken advantage of you will take advantage of you, still owe you, and still talk bad about you.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you don't get to do that. You can't owe me money. You can't screw me over and then go talk bad about me like I was a problem. But I think you and I are similar. We don't run our mouths about people. We keep moving forward. It's how many hits, how many times you can hit the ground and keep moving forward. Some people can't move forward, so they think you're out there talking about them, and we're not. It's not just. I've got a small circle, very small circle, and I pay attention to the people in my circle and the people that are in their circle. One big circle, and then there's some rings around it. Like you got to pay attention to who's in their circle. That's who they're talking to. I've had to cut off a couple of people because I would hear in their language that they're having conversations that I'm not with people that I'm not like-minded about. I don't have to be the same as them, but some people don't want better for the world, and it blows me away. It's like, why wouldn't you want everybody to be successful?
Yeah. The jealousy is just unbelievable. I mean, yeah, it's just, you know,
Facebook's make people jealous. I
yeah.
got a couple of people that won't leave me alone, and I've got a couple of companies that work for me, and they track everything they do. And if my stuff ever comes up, it's going into a file. And one day, if they ever make it, then there's enough legal stuff to go after. But I can't spend my day on that. They just think they're getting by with it. They're not getting by with it. Go be successful. Quit financing your house every 2 years.
Right.
That kind of deal. But I can't move forward if I'm worried about the distractions. Where they say, don't let your distractions distract you. You can't make progress, and you've already passed them. They're never going to catch you. They don't have the drive, ambition, dream, and talent to get where you are or to get where I am. So the best they can do is grab your ankles as you're going up the hill. If they can do anything to stop you, it makes them feel good about it. I call it guys that peaked in high school. They can't get over high school. They're still talking about it.
Right. And
I've
they were
done a lot.
popular then, and they think it's the same time now.
It's funny, man. It's funny. We're very like-minded. I really greatly appreciate your
Man, I appreciate you. This has been a lot of fun for me today. So thank you so
friendship.
much, and definitely love to have you back again down the road.
Good. I think I've told everything, but I think we could talk about you more next time. Or I'll have you a guest on Nashville Entertainment Weekly, and we can talk about you. I'd love to hear your story, how you landed on this. And I'm sorry you lost your father, but it sounds like you made just a great impact on you. That's really
He did.
important.
He was a wonderful man. He's my hero.
Awesome. All right.
Thanks,
What's his
TJ.
name? What's your dad's name?
Dr. Stanley Zellner. He was a podiatrist.
That's what my dad dealt with the past year with his diabetes. We saw a lot of podiatrists.
Yeah. And his
Awesome.
patients loved him, and he
I bet
loved
they
them.
did.
He never did. I'm just a quick story. My dad never drove fancy cars. And, we were upper middle class, not rich, but upper middle class. And I used to ask him, why don't you have something nicer? He goes, the car gets me back and forth to work. I don't care about that.
Good for
Because
him.
that's not what life's about. He goes,
You
and
were with you're about his life. I drive a truck, and I joke about it all the time. I was driving the nation's largest home builder was in town yesterday. We're cutting across the 67 acres that I worked out today with the city. And he said, I want to drive it. Me, some of them in my car today. I said, take me down there. We're going down the road, and we hit this low valley in the flood area. And I was like, we're going to have to floor it, man, because we got to make it up that hill. And I think it's juicy at the bottom. And we did. And we're slinging it around. And we're still having our conversation because the deli does it all the time. And I just spotted a little H3 from a buddy of mine. It's an actor moved to for $1,000 last week, and I'm going to drive that every day. I don't have to drive Maseratis. I don't have to have $100,000 truck. I would love one, but I'm not going to spend that whenever I, what if people that have never hit their ebbs and flows like you're talking about, you will never spend a lot of money on a vehicle again. Never in your life will you ever, because what happens if it fails? They're going to come pick it up, and you can't finance anything down the road.
Yep.
Your dad was smart. I want to hear more about your dad.
Yeah, he's a great
Sometime
man.
we'll talk about
Yeah,
that. All right, man.
absolutely.
Well, you got my cell number. Just call me. We're going to lunch or something sometime, and we'll just go have a good talk.
Sounds great. Thanks so much, buddy.
Hey, I greatly appreciate what you're doing. Thank you for everything you're doing for all the people that are trying to have their stories. So I couldn't tell you I appreciate it more.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks, man. What do we wave or what do we do here?
We can wave. We're good.